What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the GamerNerdz Now Loading podcast. This is Dinx, and I got Voice on the line, and obviously you know what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about the Sony PlayStation 4 release, which was just unveiled today at the Sony PlayStation event. Voice and I got a lot of things to talk about, and surprising to see that Sony had 2 hours of, from what I find, probably the best conference I've seen from Sony in a long time. So, Voice, why don't you take it away and give us your thoughts on what you saw tonight?
All right, before we even start talking about the conference, I just want to apologize to the listeners. You're going to probably complain and say, oh, the audio quality sucks. Well, listen, we're in 2 different locations. We're doing this podcast by phone, so bear with us. But that being said, actually, I was following, the rumors about the PlayStation 4 unveil at this event, and part of me was like, maybe they won't do it. Part of me was hoping they would. And then when they said PlayStation 4, I think I almost started crying. But one thing I'm going to say, okay, before we even get into the games is going to be the last thing I'm going to talk about. From just what the PlayStation 4 itself had to offer, a lot of the rumors, fell into place saying that, they would focus on social aspects and a lot of good stuff. And you know what? They do, and they will, and I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I think that like my initial comment is I've watched a lot of Sony conferences and they're train wrecks. I mean, there's always some really, really silly comment or just something that's a complete misfire. But the second guy who came up on stage to actually show, a brief look at that controller that has the touchpad, and he really focused on the social aspect. So this whole thing about, sharing games live, having your friends watch your games on the fly, having your friends take over games while you're playing, if this can happen, like no latency, like real time, I mean, that's something new. It's never been done before, and I mean, if they can actually deliver on this, that's going to be really, really cool. And just the fact that you can stream, like, no more, capturing footage and uploading to the internet and all that, like direct streaming, like that's very, very impressive.
Yeah, well, they did announce a lot of partnerships, with social networks like Facebook and most notably Ustream. In fact, if you watched it on the Sony site, they were actually streaming via Ustream, which is kind of foreshadow. But yeah, the fact that Sony acquired Gaikai kind of gives them access to all this cloud-based, I guess, gaming and compute and whatnot. So they really focused a lot on that in this conference. Like you're saying, the ability to, I think the single coolest thing they said was the ability to, if you're stuck in a game and you need help, your friend can literally take over your game remotely and help you pass that place. I think that's revolutionary, honestly. But, I will say this, a lot of the things they did bring up were kind of what the Wii U was almost already implementing. And I don't know if you agree with me, but I feel like, the Wii U kind of brought up this whole social aspect to gaming, and I feel like the PlayStation 4 kind of following suit, but then again, I can't really blame them. In terms of the controller, anyone who saw the prototypes that were kind of showcased beforehand, there were 2 prototypes, it pretty much falls in line. There's a front-facing touchpad, there's a share button, there's a headphone jack, there's this light bar that I didn't really understand. You did, so could you explain to me and everyone what it's for?
So a lot of people thought it was like a Move controller attachment, but actually it's just to identify, at least initially, to identify which controller is which, because now PS3 DualShock, you have like an indicator like which controller you had. Yeah. Now that's been replaced by the touchscreen. So I believe it's just going to be color coordinated. So green player 1, red player 2, and so on and so forth. But I don't agree that the Wii U really said anything social. I mean, you have
talk about these.
Hold on. You have the Miiverse, which is internal and all that, but like it's individual screenshots. You have to get out of the game. It takes longer than it should. And what they showed with the PS4, if it actually delivers, is one thing, but it's like live sharing, this whole thing about no loading time, like the system boots up right away, the instant suspend, of the system, because one thing with my PS3, and I lately I haven't played it much because, there's a lack of games until God of War and Last of Us comes out, but I, turn it on, and there's always an update, most of the time it takes me at least 10 minutes before I can actually play a PS3 game. So this whole suspend feature, it's always going to be online, which is kind of a given based on the rumors.
Yeah.
And I think they've really taken the social aspect way beyond what the Wii U currently offers, and just this whole cloud-based computing where you'll be able to share and take over, and the broadcasting, and that's like, no one has done it at that level yet. So if they can actually deliver and, you know, make everything where there is no latency, there is no waiting. The guy from Dave Perry from Gaikai even mentioned, you know, you could download any game you want, try it out, download only a portion of it, and while you're playing, it'll continuously download in the background because now there's going to be a separate dedicated processor for that. So, I mean, there's all this really cool conceptual stuff. You know, I really want to see if there's any cost involved. Like, nothing was mentioned about any of these services. I was reading that PlayStation Network is going to become PlayStation World or something, and it's going to be a paid service like Xbox Live, but the feature set they showed and just the direction they're going, and I was like, Sony's never done anything like that before, so if they can deliver on this, I mean, I'm sold. Like, I definitely going to buy the system, and I think a lot of people will too.
No, I agree with you. I'm not saying that Sony, you know, that Wii U is kind of, you know, the forefront of any of this. The Wii U has social aspects. That's why I'm saying that they kind of, you know, introduced it, and everyone's kind of, you know, just kind of running with it and just taking it to a whole new level. And I think PlayStation 4 definitely just taking it to like Uber levels. The DualShock controller will be called the DualShock 4. The PlayStation 4 will be called the PlayStation 4. I'm happy to see the word orb is gone. Okay, because I know that there was a code name. I was afraid this one would stick. Goodbye, Orbis. Not gonna miss you. Personalization is one of the I guess the keynote they kind of, you know, mentioned the fact that, in a sense, the PlayStation 4 will learn about your interests and kind of introduce you to things that it believes.
Yeah, I was
a bit cool.
worried about that. The guy said it'll download stuff for you, so it's basically. I mean, I'm hoping there's no, like, you know, instantly download stuff on my behalf and charge it to my card. I mean, obviously there's gonna be some user input there, but I mean, it's like, you know, that was, you know, even on Xbox right now, on the current Xbox Live, it'll look at your current gameplay, it'll give you suggestions. So, you know, if the system's always online and, you know, it uses low power when it's in suspend mode and downloading things, like, that's great, but that's not really a system seller to me. I think the whole sharing aspect, the share button, like, that was, you know, that's only, like, that was the first half an hour of the presentation, and we haven't talked about the games yet, and that was, you know, extremely impressive. So I think
before we even get into the games, there's actually one thing from, you know, from the hardware point of view that kind of scared me a little bit, and that's the PS Vita. I mean, right off the bat, they kind of just shoved PS Vita aside, you know, and then the one time they kind of brought it back up, you know, it was pretty much, oh, you know, with the PlayStation 4, we hope that all games will, you know, support remote gameplay from the PS Vita. So, you know, throwing the game back and forth between the PS Vita and the PS4. I'm afraid, honestly, that the PS Vita is going to turn into just that. I'm afraid that eventually people are going to stop making games with the PS Vita, and all it's going to serve is pretty much be a more advanced Wii U controller.
But even people are saying, oh my god, the Wii U is dead. I mean, the PS4 is going to probably cost $400, $450. The Vita costs $300, so are people really going to make a, you know, between $600 and $700 investment? You know, at least the Wii U comes packaged with all the hardware required, and, you know, I don't think what they need to do, you know, if they don't want to kill off the Vita, is actually make some games for it. Like, right away, you know, like you said at the very beginning, it was pushed to the side, and there was nothing, you know, no gameplay reel for the Vita, nothing, like, not even a price cut. Like, it's not selling at all. There's no, you know, there's no big games coming. Like, you know, you can't position it as a secondary piece of hardware that costs $300. I mean, I want to play Vita games on it, I mean, granted, I still want to play PS4 games on it, but I mean, I don't know what they're positioning with it, and I don't see a lot of people spending $300 to have a controller when, you know, the regular PS4 controller probably can do that.
I'm actually afraid that what's going to happen is that down the line they're going to release a PS4 PS Vita bundle. You know, they're going to make a PS Vita that doesn't actually have, you know, doesn't play, you know, its own games. It just streams. I think that's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, it's a big shot, you know, shot in the direction of Nintendo. We're basically doing what you're doing, but cost. I mean, you know, cost of entry is huge here, and unless it actually goes down significantly, it's still regular price, and there's still, you know, only a handful of games, nothing unique. Like, we keep saying this, the Vita is, you know, on life support, and I just can't see Sony, like, doing anything. They haven't done anything to really showcase that they're supporting it still, but, you know, what happens, we'll find out down the line, I guess.
Exactly. So, with that being said, let's get into the moment that everyone else was really, I think everyone was really waiting for. We were all excited about the hardware and the networking and all that fun stuff, but we wanted to see games. In fact, I was watching people's PlayStation 4 tweets, and there was like, get to the games. And then the first game they showed, the first game they technically showed was a game called, I don't remember the name, Knack. I didn't really, yeah, it was interesting, but whatever. But Killzone Shadowfall. Hold
on. That game, like, before they had showed it off, like, the Mark Cerny, who was like a lead architect at Sony, he was showing all these really cool like physics demos and just like 1,000 objects on the screen and all these crazy lighting effects, and he had showed an extended version of the Unreal 4 engine. Like, that was incredible. And then this Knack demo, like, it looked like, I'm assuming most of the stuff is in-game they showed today, or at least like engine renders like running on a PS4.
Yeah.
It looked like cartoon, like, what's it called, Team Fortress 2, but in real time, like, very smooth, almost CG-like. So the visuals were really impressive, and then this character you have is made up of like a million little objects, and just from a technical perspective, very colorful and all that, and I think that's something that's very impressive. And then, Killzone was, that was something else.
Yeah, exactly. So Killzone, before I even get to Killzone, like, Knack looked interesting, but it didn't really do anything to sell me. It was Killzone, once they showed Killzone, that's when I started dropping my jaw. It's just, when the PS3 first came out, they did the same thing. They introduced Killzone 2. Was it Killzone 2? Or
it was Killzone 2. That's what they demoed, yeah. But that was the CG.
Exactly. But then they did, they started off with they showed Killzone. So PS4, they showed Killzone, Shadowfall. So it was almost like, a throwback to the PS3. But oh my God, like, from just graphically, the lighting effects, it just looks so good. I was actually, kind of afraid that the PS4 will, graphically will not really advance that far from the PS3. And I'm happy to say that, I'm dead wrong. The PS4 looks like it's going to be definitely a contender.
And as we were talking before this call, that's just, this is first time demo. It's, early hardware experience. And the big announcement was the memory, so everyone is assuming that this is going to be 8 gigabytes, and then they announced that it's GDDR5, which is really, really fast. Yeah, PC gamers have been using this and probably have double or triple the amount, but for a home console, the last consoles, I think 360 has either 512 megs of RAM or 1 gigabyte of RAM, so it is a huge jump. It's much faster. For all the streaming stuff, this is going to put a lot of stuff in memory, in RAM, and it's going to make a lot of the latency issues you have with PS3, a lot of the startup time, disappear. So all this like real-time sharing, immediate, no latency stuff, and I was watching Killzone, and just I think they purposely did that long panning shot just to show the lighting, and super clean. The frame rate, probably locked around 30 seconds, but I can't wait to play that on a huge screen. I'm very, very impressive. Very impressive.
That looked good. And then right after that, the next game they showcased was a game called Drive Club. I didn't really understand the premise of what it's supposed to be. It's a racing game, and it's supposed to be team-based of some sorts.
Yeah, I'm watching it, and I'm like, I know you're watching this, you have no idea what he's talking about, but I was actually surprised that they showed that versus, a Gran Turismo game. Usually, we'll see a Gran Turismo game, and then 17 years later it'll actually come out. But it's a team-based racing game where you'll basically you create your own club, and basically on the fly you can race anyone else around the world. So this whole like instant sharing, instant jumping, online team-based racing game, and they had showed the Koenigsegg Jera R and Viper Hennessy Venom GT. So they were going over details of it, and the car looked very impressive. And they said first-person racing, so now you don't have like a floating steering wheel with no hands. It seemed very visceral, and they didn't really show a lot of gameplay. But again, I think it was more just to show like what the PS4 can do technically, and it was very, very impressive.
Yeah, exactly. I actually am happy that they went with a new IP. Yeah, like you said, generally they go with what they've already done in the past, and they did that with Killzone. So I'm kind of happy they didn't follow with Gran Turismo. I was just kind of rolled my eyes. No, Drive Club looks pretty cool. Then the next one they showcased. Infamous Second Son.
Very cool.
It's I'm guessing it's a new Infamous protagonist and whatnot. But I don't see. I wasn't sure in that one. Were we looking at gameplay footage or were we looking at CG? I mean, I have no clue what I was looking at.
There was no. I mean, they definitely didn't show any. There wasn't any on-screen HUD or anything. So it probably is. I'm hoping it's in-game engine. Like, I hope we don't have to have CG anymore because, I'm looking at a clip of it right now, and visually looks very impressive. I want open world games, and the first two Infamouses were great. So, I'm sure they had a good mix of new IPs and old stuff to get people excited, and still looks pretty cool.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really like the premise of the game, and I don't know who's the guy from Sucker Punch that was kind of narrating. Kind of took these really awkward pauses to be more dramatic, and I literally just took a screenshot of his face and it made me laugh. Whatever. I really don't know to think about that particular title. It just seems like an odd story, and he was so
yeah. But you know what? We both love the game. Who cares about the premise? Just imagine, that level of fidelity in an open world with, community aspects. I mean, it's going to be fun. Everyone can say, it's the same boring IP, but you know what? You've been playing the same IPs on every generation, probably, with some, moderate enhancement. I think the visuals for this generation are going to be significantly more impressive, more power, more speed, and I can't wait to see, next Grand Theft Auto or something on this type of system. It's going to be just psycho, just crazy.
Well, what do you think about the next one that they showed? I think it was The Witness. I was actually completely lost as to what that was. Go ahead. I mean,
it looked very, colorful and all that, but my impression was it was just, a Myst type of first-person puzzle game, but the guy who, basically said you can go anywhere you want, and puzzles are not really puzzles, they're just part of the game. It wasn't very clear, so they didn't really show much, aside from these miniature, start at point A in a maze and reach at point B or something. I didn't get too much from it, but I was more excited about what Capcom showed.
Holy shit. Okay, and this is, I don't care. Holy fuck shit. Wow. Okay. First of all, they talked about their history and all the stuff they've done on console and blah blah blah, and then they said Onimusha, and I got excited, and they didn't show anything, and then I got angry. But then they said, they have a new engine called Panta Ray, and then they showcased this new IP called Deep Down.
Yeah.
Holy hell! Probably the most impressive thing I've seen ever. Graphically, lighting effects, this dragon blowing fire to flames, just everything. I cannot wait for that game. I don't know if it's going to be like Dragon's Dogma or whatever it's going to be like, but I want that game now.
I thought it was actually going to be a what's it called, a Demon Soul, Dark Soul type of game, and it kind of looks like it. But there was only one or two scenes where there was an on-screen HUD, and again, I don't know how much was real-time was being controlled, but there's just so much going on screen. There's stuff breaking. It's all super smooth, super detailed. That was that was. I can't wait to see that. That looks fantastic, and going back to the old hardcore, dungeon crawlers, but with those type of visuals, wow, that's probably the most impressive title I saw today.
It was there's hands down the most impressive title. And then after that, Square. I think it was Square Enix went on stage, and probably the most lackluster presentation. All they really did was talk about the ideas they have in mind for PS4. Then they went and played that same tech demo we saw already. And then they announced.
The funniest part about that was the guy who presented said, and obviously English is not his first language, so it's not a problem, but he said something to the lines I'm not your brother, I'm not your sister, or something, and then they showed the Luminous engine demo, which is pretty, but it's still a tech engine demo. And then he said, please look forward to E3, and we'll announce a new Final Fantasy. So why don't you just do it there? It just seemed, or why did you waste time showing something we've seen already?
I personally have a feeling that they were going to show the new Final Fantasy, and I think maybe somewhere down the line they just realized it's a bad idea. We're releasing Lightning Strikes or Lightning Returns. We don't want to overshadow that one, so we're going to wait. Then they decided to show this instead. It just felt like, why are we showing? And they showed the full trailer again of this Luminous engine, and it's we've seen this. It's nothing impressive. And how are you going to showcase this Final Fantasy at E3?
It's still impressive. It definitely is an engine demo, but again, it's, you know, the what's it called, like what's following Sony is that last time they unveiled a new system, everything was CG, and there was really, like, it was very gray area, what was real time, what was not. So I'm hoping this Square Enix Luminous engine demo is, you know, indicative of what the final game quality will look like. Final Fantasy 13 was very pretty, but, you know, the game's lacking, so I hope whatever the next game uses this engine will be, you know, just as beautiful, but they still need to focus on what the game brings, because, you know how I feel about Final Fantasy, but that's another topic. So
I think they might do something interesting. We'll see. It's all this be just speculation. Maybe we'll have a separate podcast one day about this whole thing. Anyway, Ubisoft, you know, came on stage, and then they talked about Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
And they showed brand new gameplay footage, and holy hell, like it's. Again, I keep talking about lighting effects. I think that the one thing I got out of all the games I saw at the PS event was that all the PS4 games just have amazing lighting effects. Like the lighting particle effects and physics engines are just, you know, over the top, and this one just looks like it's going to be just, you know, bloody, you know, good looking. Then they made an announcement that, you know, it was. The Watch Dogs is actually going to be also on the PS3, so PS3 and PS4. And it's funny because I believe Bungie made a similar announcement. Exactly, with Destiny. Destiny is actually going to be on PS3 and PS4, and that kind of worries me a little bit. Will the PS3 versions kind of just be half-assed ports of the PS4 versions, or will the PS4 version just be, you know, quick, you know, high res versions of the PS3 games?
I think
HDR versions.
Yeah, high definition. I think probably the most important thing about that's coming on both consoles is maybe that there's going to be some cross-platform play. I was watching game trailers after the conference, and one thing about Watch Dogs, I don't know if you watched that trailer, but it showed basically this guy being followed by a camera, and there was a username above it, because the guy behind the camera was another player. So the Ubisoft rep was saying that in a single-player game, you will have other actual game players, you know, interacting in a universe. So there was the guy behind the camera was trying to basically put a contract and kill the main character, and the main character was fighting against him, and he tracked down that guy he ended up beating up. So it was really cool to see, like, multiplayer in a single-player fashion, and they had said, you know, how are you going to stop, like, someone entering your game and ruining it for you? There's still some control there by the user, but that was really cool. And just the premise, open world, and you can control everything with the computer, with your phone, and, you know, they showed all this, like, just incredible visuals, and like you're mentioning, like, the particle effects and, like, the depth of field, like, it was beautiful. Like, that game, like, I mean, when they first showed it last year, it was one thing, but this time it looks even better. Definitely looking forward to that. That's going to be very, very impressive.
No, exactly. But you know what? It actually got me thinking a little bit. I'm not going to talk about the fact that I still think that Watch Dogs looks like Assassin's Creed and plays a little bit like it. That's just me nitpicking. Anyway, but actually, you know, seeing how Bungie and Ubisoft are going to have the games be on, you know, both apparently like current gen and next gen platforms, it makes me think about Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, the fact that it got pushed toward the end of the year. Are we going to look at GTA 5 on both, like, you know, both on current gen and next gen? And what do you think? I think that's what they're going to do.
No, I think GTA 5 costs so much to make. I mean, there's a huge user base for PlayStation 3. It's cheap, you know, and people have it, like, to the tune of 60 million people. PS4 is going to be new, and with every new console, there's, like, it takes a long time to get, like, a very solid user base.
Yeah.
Maybe there's going to be, I'd ask this question on NeoGaf, is there going to be remakes, you know, higher definition remakes of current gen games for PS4 and Xbox Next? And I'd like to see it. So, you know, I'd love to see up-res, higher, you know, more textured, super detailed GTA 5. But I think it still looks fantastic for current-gen consoles, and, you know, I'm looking forward to playing it. Like, I'm looking at screenshots from the Killzone demo, and, oh my god, it's just incredible, the fidelity here. Like, you need to see so many shots of this, the screen, the city here. Oh my god. Like, fantastic, just freaking fantastic.
Well, I was trying to download that. I think you probably stopped downloading.
And you know what? The coolest thing about that, actually, what he done after the demo of Killzone was he used a share button and uploaded it to Facebook. Like, it was done right after the demo, and that the share button's integrated into the DualShock 4, so you can do this like on the fly. And I know, you know, you'll be able to revert back to your game, and in the background I'll do the uploading, so there won't be any like waiting or anything. So they have some really cool stuff that if they can actually implement this successfully, you know, hopefully there's no like cost, or a lot of these features are included. Like, this is going to be a very successful system, I think.
No, I concur. I think we should probably drop it here. Before we actually drop it, Blizzard did announce that Diablo 3 will be on PS4 and also on PS3. I didn't really play Diablo. I don't really play Diablo, so I don't. You know, for me, I don't really care. But I'm sure people out there are pretty excited. So
actually, you know, I'm reading people are actually really mad.
Really?
There's a lot of flack on the Diablo 3 forums, because apparently the guy, I actually didn't watch that part, but he was saying that the game was made for, you know, for a console. It's made for 4 players, and everyone. I haven't read the feedback, but people are saying that, you know, the PC players got gypped because the experience was reduced or something. So I don't think people are too happy about that. But you still have they still show Destiny, which I mean, had a very Halo vibe to me. It looks like a super crazy MMO first-person shooter with, like, you know, intense social play. And there was a word they'd used for it. It was like a sharing first-person shooter or something, or there was some.
Yeah, there's a certain buzz marketing thing they keep using it and never remember.
Yeah, definitely something else. So that's going to be 2013. And then, you know, a lot of people were like, well, they didn't show the system, and actually I just don't think it's not ready yet. So probably we'll see the actual system at E3, and probably the most important thing, at the end of the conference, they said winter 2013. So definitely going to have this hardware with those games at the end of this year, provided there's no delays. But I'm, you know, probably one of the best conferences Sony has done in a while, and they've done a lot of bad conferences, and it really sold a lot of the stuff to me. So I'm definitely going to make the upgrade, and very excited for PlayStation 4.
Listen, I totally agree. I think this is one of the best conferences they've had. I think, you know, the beginning started off really strong. I think, you know, the games they showed were definitely, you know, showcase what you would want to see. Hands down, probably the best conference on my end as well. But listen, what do you guys think? Did you like what you saw? Are you annoyed that you didn't see the PS4, you know, actual hardware, or the sort of design of the system? Let us know in the comments. But with that being said, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. We'll see you next time on the GamerNerdz Downloading Podcast.
Take it easy, folks. See ya.